Get your popcorn ready for episode 2. Oh my God, our Vault Empowers talks are on a whole nother level. I get to sit down with the one and only Melody McCloskey, the founder of StyleSeat, the open table for stylists around the world. If you're ready, episode 2 is starting now. So when you started StyleSeat had a secret sauce. Mm-hmm. What was the secret sauce of StyleSeat?
Well, I built StyleSeat from salons and inside salons. And our first product was actually for stylists that wanted to become independent. So they were employees at salons, but they wanted to leave and become independent. Today, the vast majority of stylists are independent. Used to be that you graduate beauty school, you get a job at a salon, you pay that salon 70% of all your revenue. And you do that for 10 years, and then you launch your own salon and do the same thing. But what we find now is that the vast majority of stylists are independent. So they rent a chair in a salon, they pay rent, but they get to keep all their revenue. And I saw this trend starting to happen when I started my company. And so I created an app for them to take their clients with them when they moved. Because remember, you'd call a salon and they'd say, oh, Jane left. She works somewhere else. And she didn't tell us where. Yeah. Right? That like whole thing that they would say, and it'd be like she died. You could never find her again, right? Right. And so it was an app that you could slip to your clients and say, put your contact info here and I'll let you know.
Good.
If I leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there has been, over the years, has there been some backlash from people with StyleSeat?
I mean, there's always backlash.
Yeah.
I think when your community starts to get bigger too, there's going to be bigger opinions. Yeah. And when you're free, everyone thinks it's great. And then you have to run a business and pay people. And then that's when people have stronger opinions. Yeah. But it's great because it means that they care about the product. And provided you take all of that insight and you use it to make the product better, it makes the product better. Yeah. Our community has always helped us shape the product and our features. And we're also very different with what we do in the industry compared to everyone else.
Like what?
So everyone else in the space charges a monthly fee, and they give business tools to their stylists. So, you pay, call it $25 or $30 a month. You pay transaction fees. And then if you want a marketing tool, you pay an extra $10 a month. You want another tool, you pay an extra whatever. And then you learn how to use the tools, and you use the tools, and then you hope the tools drive you value. And we're different. Where you use us, we're free. There's no monthly fee. And StyleSeat will triple your revenue in the first 24 months of being on the platform, because we're going to learn how your business works, and we're going to use lots of sophisticated technology to surge your prices. We give everyone a unique surge pricing algorithm, and we drive you new clients into your chair. And so we take a fee when we bring you revenue you wouldn't have realized otherwise. We take small fees on the run your business side, but it's about, the onus is on us to drive impact to your bottom line. So a lot of our stylists come to us making, between 40 and 50K a month. And 2 years later, they're making 150K a month.
Oh, wow.
On average.
Wow.
And so our top stylists are doing like really, really well.
So what's been the hardest lesson you've had to learn along the way in growing this business? What has been your hardest lesson?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it's just all hard lessons all the time.
Hard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I can think of so many things. When you're small, and you're just trying to make it, and you're just trying to make the product work and get it out there and get the bug fix out there, you're learning how to work with people, you're sort of doing all the jobs. Fast forward to when you're a much bigger business and you're making a lot more revenue and you have, hundreds of people at the company or whatever. Now a lot of my job has become board management, investor relations, thinking about the next round of funding, thinking about, sort of bigger strategic ideas, less about the product. And so I feel like because I have experts focusing on the product and all the other stuff, frankly, better at it than I am. So I feel like my job is a totally different role every 2 months, because as the company changes and evolves, the things that are needed of me change and evolve. And so I feel like I get a new job every 2 months almost. Yeah.
What has been the hardest thing for you to let go in your business?
Control. about all things everywhere all the time. Here's what I'll say. When I got pregnant, I was trying to build my executive team. We were in this awkward stage where we had outgrown, and I was trying to find new executives, but we didn't have all the roles filled. And there were all these things that previously, to solve them, I would just work 12 hours a day. I would just work, okay, now I'm going to put my VP of marketing hat on and I'm going to do that for 4 hours a day. Now I'm going to put my CFO hat on and now I got to do all this. And when you're pregnant, you realize it took me, I didn't tell my team until I was 7.5 months pregnant.
Wow.
So
how did you even hide 7.5 months?
Baggy is in.
Okay.
Baggy is in. I brought it back. But I realized I'm now going to have a finite period of time. So I have to up level. I have to trust. I have to implement systems. And it forced me, it was a great forcing function. It ended up being one of the best things ever because I had to just let go. I wasn't in charge of anything. I wasn't in charge of my body. I'm not in charge of like everything in my company. I have to let it be what it'll be and trust my team. And so that's a lesson.
Motherhood has shifted you. We were talking off camera before the interview, and you were not one of those people who was like,
no,
give me your baby.
I do not want to hold
Let me hold your baby.
No,
I want kids. Not. And here you are, mother of two, wife and mother of two.
Yes.
How has motherhood shifted you in your business?
I think it's made me a much more patient person. I would say on the patient scale, I'm a 2 out of 10. Naturally. Now I'm probably a 6.5.
Okay, that's maybe. Progress. That's a lot of progress.
It's progress.
Yeah.
I think it's tremendous.
Yeah.
Motherhood for me completely opened me up. I love my children. I never thought I would feel that way. I was like, oh, I'm going to want to stay living in the big city and running my company and I'll have kids and I'll squish them into my life.
Yeah.
And now all I want to do is hang out with them.
Yeah.
And it's made me more peaceful. And I admire these little girls and how they learn and what they think and how their brain works and how can I raise them and not squish them or make them be something or let the world squish them or shave off little pieces of their personality. Like I want them to be who they are and how can I cultivate that?
Yeah.
And it's opened up my heart. That's the only way I can describe it.
It's opened up your heart.
Yeah.
What do you want them to know about your work in the world? What do you want them to know about their mom?
My work makes me incredibly fulfilled. And I love what I do. I get to help, 85% of our customers are women, 60% are minorities.
Yeah.
It's such a joy and an honor for me to work and to help them be more successful doing what they love, and that is what I love. That is how I choose to spend my time. I want my girls to know that. I want them to pick something that gives them joy and that drives impact, however they spend their time when they're older.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely a better mom by working. Definitely.
You're definitely a better mom by working. I heard you say in an interview that you try your best to be home so you can get there before bath time, so you can spend time with them. Yeah,
I mean, when I lived in San Francisco before the pandemic, and society wants women to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I was, one of the first people in the morning, outfit on point, available for everyone, open seating, office in the middle. Anyone can come to me at any time. Here I am, last person to leave. And then I had a kid and I'm like, oh my God, I have to see my baby sometime. So I'd see her for like 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes before she would go down.
Oh, wow.
And it was really soul crushing for me. And the pandemic was really terrible, but the silver lining for me in working from home, and now we're fully remote and we're not going back.
Yeah.
Is that I get to see my kids in little bites all day long.
Yeah.
They can knock on my door. They can come into a conference call if they need to. It's life. We all got to get used to it.
Yeah.
And they get to see me in mom mode, but then also in work mode.
Yeah.
And that's pretty special. Now, my husband also works from home. And he has...
So this house is busy all day long.
Yes. And my husband works in sports tech.
Yeah.
And so all he's doing is talking about sports in his loud business development voice all day long. So for our marriage, we had to get 2 different offices because in San Francisco, we didn't have it. I turned to him one day and was like, it's at risk. I'm just letting you know I can't hear about sports anymore.
Yeah.
So we now have doors in our offices, but he has a couple people that come in that work with him every day, and I just work alone.
Yeah.
I work remotely. And my daughter said to someone, a friend that came over the other day, she goes, Daddy has a company and he works with people and Mom talks to the computer. I was like, oh God, I don't know what this means, but okay.
This is how she sees it.
This is how she sees it.
She summed it up in that way.
She's not wrong.
Exactly.
And then I'm like, honey, Mama's company is bigger than Daddy's company. Okay, just so we get the, let's get it. Don't get it twisted.
Listen, it's like my nephew with my sister and my brother-in-law. He just is like, my sister does nothing, and her, his dad is like, my dad does everything. You cook food for us.
Oh my God. Send those kids over to me.
Listen, you cook food and make sure everything is great. So
that is the hardest job.
That's the hardest job.
Oh my gosh.
So how have you been able to create boundaries, setting boundaries between work and family life?
We live in a very dynamic house. So I, on any given night, will work until 11 p.m., midnight, on calls, working with my CFO. Whatever needs to be done, it needs to be done. And same thing with my husband. On weekends, one or both of us might need to work. And that's just how it has to be. And I'm really thankful that I have a partner who gets that, because I've had partners in life, or like boyfriends, who did not get it or understand it or respect it.
Yeah. And
they saw it as a negative. And I'm thankful that I have a partner who sees it as a positive. And he's like, oh my God, thank God you're busy, because I'm busy too. And I don't want to feel guilty. Yeah. Right. And so we have each other's
back. It's a balance. Yeah.
But I think a lot of that balance for me has to come from my mind and from the mental. Like, for me to be present with my kids, I can't rush in from a meeting and be stressed about the meeting. There has to be a moment when I exit my office to when I go see them in the kitchen, which I can see from my office, where I take a deep breath and leave the energy behind, because I don't want them to think of me as
this crazy lady who only is concerned about work.
That's not interesting to me.
Yeah.
I want them to see me as their mom that loves them, that's here, and I do stuff over there.
Yeah.
But here we are. You know? I'm fully present.
How are we halfway through this series? I cannot believe it. You guys, I hope you're enjoying this conversation as much as I have. I hope you're taking notes, because Melody was dropping all the gems. Talk about an amazing story, and doing $12 billion in revenue. I mean, come on, this is out of this world. You too can become a successful entrepreneur, but stay tuned for more in the next episode.